Now, here's the thing. Let's bring in Paul right back here real quick. And let's get Haida. And I want to talk to Dave, too, because Dave has a lot to say about this. Now, PFE, dude, look, we're trying to... I don't care about the personal stuff, times this and that, whatever. All I care about is this. Let's recap this, and I want you to bring it together. This guy's been vice chairman. He's declared himself the most heard voice in California Republican politics. He declares himself that he's been on radio 300 times a year. He does all these kinds of speeches. He's been on TV 50 times a year. He basically, since in his tenure, fundraising has gone down dramatically. We just had a tsunami election where everybody... where the Republicans won all over the country, but here we're facing a complete a shutout on the congressional level and a decimation at the state races, and whether it's for governor, state assembly, or anything like that, this is a complete blowout. You had a race that he was personally involved in my personal opinion, that was supposed to have been won, and the thing is coming apart at the seams. And it's become almost a laughingstock with some of the statements and actions that are going down there. And now this guy wants to be chairman. And frankly, we have people, whether it's things that happen in the primary, things that happen subsequently to that, things that I've seen myself, and people that have talked to me that don't want me to name names and stuff on the record, where basically I think that he's divided the party. Why hasn't David Harmer or Tom DelBeccaro reached out to Elizabeth Empkin or Brad Gehring or Tony Amador? Maybe they have, but I haven't seen it to help out with this race. Why haven't they done better with Dave Diamond and Afternoons Live and come on that show? That is the #1 show in the entire Central Valley for CD11. Why haven't they done more stuff with conservative new media with us and stuff like that? There's been no contact, no attempt to do anything with me. I've reached out to that campaign 3 or 4 times, and let's see now. We're in a close recount, Haida. Don't you think that between me, Conservative New Media, Dave Diamond, Brad Gehring, Elizabeth Empkin, RT American, that we couldn't have scrambled up maybe 1,000 votes to get Harmer across the finish line?
No, for sure. And looking at the numbers, Harmer's behind 0.3% right now in the count, and you can't forget the protest vote that apparently is happened with David Christensen, the third-party candidate, where in 2008 he got 12 votes.
Yeah.
And now he got over 9,000 votes.
Right, and exactly. And Elaine Harmer said something, I think, I don't even want to get into that. I actually, I feel sorry for Elaine. I like Elaine. She seems cool. But, whatever. And so, look, people are blaming supporters or upset at David Christensen. Everyone has a right to run anything, okay? It's don't blame David Christensen. Like you said, I think it's a protest vote. There's a lot of people that told me that they wrote in Brad Gehring's name. There's a lot of people that told me that they just weren't going to vote in that race because as a protest to David Harmer. If you want to blame anyone, blame David Harmer and blame Tom DelBeccaro. When you take some of your best starters here, Dave Diamond, John D. Villarreal, Conservative New Media, RT American, and you bench them, essentially, you know what? You might lose the freaking contest. You might lose the game, okay? And you know what? If you're vice chairman and you're the candidate, then who gets blamed? That's you. It's just like if you're a parent and you have a 5-year-old kid, and maybe they want to call me the 5-year-old kid of California politics. Fine. Well, guess what? When something happens bad, whose fault is it? The 5-year-old kids or the parents? Paul, tell me about this, dude. Tell me what's going on here.
Look, you guys have all made really good points. John Haida just has made good points. Bill Graham made very good points. And I think what happens is, look, everybody wants to get ahead. Everybody wants to further their careers and all this type of stuff. As we said, we don't hold grudges. We don't have anything personal against any candidates or anybody.
Nope.
The bottom line is when those considerations, your own personal considerations, impair the larger considerations of winning for the party, winning for the country. And that appears to be what happened in at least CA11 and maybe some other statewide contests.
I'll tell you something right now. I'll say it right here. I've said it before. I'm happy to work with Tom DelBeccaro, David Harmer, Bridget Melson, Pleasant Tea Party, anybody and everybody to help win in California, to help conservatives win. My phone, my door, my services are open for all of them. It's up to them to make the next move. Haida, I can only extend my hand so many times. You know what I mean? I'm here to help them out.
Yep. When it gets slapped that many times, you know.
I'm still here, but it takes two to tango is all I'm saying. Now I want to bring in Dave Diamond right here. He's my producer. He likes to be more low-key, but, I mean, this is so important, and this guy knows so much of what's going on. I mean, he's the heart and soul in so many ways of conservatism and talk radio in the Central Valley. Now, Dave, and any of you guys can weigh in on this. I have a big mouth, and I pat myself on the back a lot. I don't need any help. But, I mean, let's be honest about this. How much could I have helped David Harmer, number one? And number two, how much can all of us help the conservative movement and the California Republican Party if they're willing to work with us? And how bad is it going to be if Tom Del Carl and his crew keep doing what they're doing, dividing this party? That's all I want to say.
Well, that's a lot of question there.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. The issue becomes one, and you mentioned the protest votes in CD11. The bottom line is this is what I refer to as the Ron Paulista effect. I get calls. I used to get calls all the time. Dave, why won't you join with Ron? Why won't you join with Ron? Why doesn't Ron join with me? Why don't these conservative candidates, quote unquote, and every Republican ran as a quote unquote conservative candidate, why don't they come to me? Why don't they join with the conservatives? Why do they come to the Tea Parties? Why and tell the Tea Parties what they want to hear? But when you scratch the surface, what you quickly find is that they're not really conservatives. Now, does that necessarily mean that you shouldn't vote for them as Republicans? I don't know that it does, and I don't advocate that. However, I was very clear about the fact that if you're going to lie about it, then you're out of contention. I also have issues, obviously, with people who don't follow the rules, which is a big issue in this campaign, and I have serious questions about failed candidates that continue to run. To me, there's something there. When you have to keep looking for an easier race to try to win, there's something wrong with that candidate. Fundamentally wrong.
No, I agree with that, and that's the thing here, and that's all I'm saying with the California Republican Party and Tom Del Carl and then David Harmer. Because you have to understand about me and my personality. Number one, I am super competitive, but I am super competitive really internally. And Paul knows this from when I trained. It doesn't matter if it was martial. I mean, I've been national world class almost all my life. Now I'm older now, and so I'm out of that category. But basically all my life in strength and combat sports. Those are solo sports. I've done team sports and done well there, but they're basically, mano a mano, you versus me. I've never worried about my opponents. I never worried about how anyone else was training. I never worried about anything. I just did my thing, and I would help out opponents of mine in contests. Because I always figured, you know what? If I'm at my best, nobody can beat me. And Paul knows that. I mean, he's been my brother, for my whole life and everything like that. And my thing is that because of that training and that mentality. And I've been elite at almost anything I've done in my life. I always look at performance. I don't care if I hated the guy next to me on a line on football or one of my wrestling partners, whatever like that. If they could win, I was all for him. Tom Del Carl, if you want to sum it up, in my personal opinion, right now, forget everything else. There's only one word to describe this guy: loser. He's a loser. I don't want a loser running my party when we need to win, and it's so critical that we win against Obama and those people. I mean, I feel so bad for a great candidate like Carly Fiorina. That woman has heart. She had great volunteers. She was battling cancer, for Christ's sake, on the campaign trail, and she still stayed in there. She put her own hard-earned money into this. She took all the slams. She really reached out. She really wanted to learn. She really tried to incorporate people. Meg Whitman. I mean, I think she ran a bad campaign and and she had problems there, this and that, whatever. And she got punked by Mike Murphy, but she's brilliant. And she poured money in this to try to save the state. And we had great candidates up and down. Jack Sieglock, Vidic, Damon Dunn, Tony Strickland, all up and down. And almost all of them got punked. Because the party is broken.